And good morning and welcome back to White Mountains Today here on White Mountain TV 16. Joining us right here is Lisa McCoy from the Mount Washington Auto Road and Great Glen Trails. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. How have you been?
Things have been going great. You know, it's been a tremendously busy summer event season, but now we're kind of getting into the groove of regular operations, focusing on the upcoming foliage season at the Auto Road. And Great Glen Trails has been kind of just cruising along, and same with the Glen House. So things have been good. Things have been good.
Yeah, you were here not that long ago, but it was like just this list of all these things that were going on up there.
Yeah,
before the rides and everything else.
Before the climb to the clouds and before the 24-hour race, it's been just kind of one after another events at the Auto Road. But super fun summer, and everyone had an awesome time being up there.
That's great. That's great. So what is, foliage, a perfect time to go up and visit the Auto Road?
Yeah, well, right now, it's that cool, crisp, kind of fall-ish feeling, and you can see some of the trees are starting to turn. So it kind of gives you that kind of pumpkin spice feeling that everybody loves.
A pumpkin spice kind of feeling. All
yeah.
right. I'm going to write that one down. Write that one down, Matthew. Pumpkin spice kind of feeling.
You can quote me on that.
So what is coming up? Well, we were talking about earlier, Muster in the Mountains.
Yeah, so if you've been up to Muster.
I have not been to the Muster in the Mountains yet.
So the Muster in the Mountains is just a really fascinating event. People come and they do a colonial reenactment from the 1800s, and you honestly feel like you're back in time. Like you show up to some of these encampments, you talk to the folks who are, in their costumes, and you feel like, wow, like you're dressed in your regular clothes, and it has this like otherworldly feeling, which is really neat to experience. And people are making foods out of that time period. But some of the more fun and exciting things are the like rifle demonstrations, and then on Sunday from like 10 to noon, we have a cannon demonstration.
That would be cool.
And there's three cannons that came in 2019. There was 2 revolutionary cannons, and they actually had a Civil War cannon. And it was really interesting to see the different technology between the Civil War cannon and the Revolutionary, the time change. And so the Revolutionary War one was much more accurate, hitting the targets out in the woods, and they use as kind of like cement blocks that they actually shoot out of the cannon. So it's not a real cannonball, but it's a manufactured cement.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it works.
It's still pretty exciting, and they're loud.
If you think about it, back then, they had to, kind of form that not by hand, because hot metal. but so that I applaud that.
And there's a blacksmith shop, so you can go and see the guy who's like making black, and you can get like little lanterns and candles, and there's a little shop, and it's really neat.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
And it's free and open. Anyone can come in. They park in our gravel lot and just walk across, because we don't want cars parked in the area.
It would spoil the
exactly
the vibe.
Unless you're handicapped, then you can.
But that's cool. But so that's a lot of fun, and you've got that great field right there, because that's where the 24 hours was, et cetera.
Exactly.
And so it's a great area just to kind of wander around, and you're right at the base of Mount Washington, and then you just look up, and there it is. And I love the stream that's right behind it, between the gravel field and
the Peabody River.
Is it the Peabody?
It's the Peabody River. It's the beginning of the Peabody that's coming out of Pinkham Notch.
I did not know that.
The Peabody flows north.
Really?
Just like the Nile.
I am learning so much stuff today. It's a pumpkin spice kind of feeling.
So, if you go on one of our guided tours, it's like one of the first things they'll tell you, right when you go across the river.
They probably have. I've done those, and I probably have forgotten that as I've gone up, because I'm like, I'm going up the mountain.
Yeah.
So,
it's easy to start peering out the window and, not necessarily absorbing all the information, but getting it one little bit at a time.
Absolutely. Now, can I go up the mountain?
Yes. Yeah, we are open 8 to 5. So our hours have shifted from the summer hours. We close at 5 p.m., which means 5 p.m. is the last time you can drive your car up. And then in early October, it switches to 4 p.m. because we start to lose the light of day.
Right. You kind of want the light of day. Kind of helps.
Yeah.
So you could drive yourself, or you could take the stage van.
Yeah, and the stage vans are awesome. If people have driven up, I always recommend, just switch it up, take a guided tour. And everything's bookable online right now. We have all of our trips that you can go and reserve in advance. So if you know that you're coming up, you don't have to, hope that you get a trip. And the tour drivers are amazing. They all have their each one has a unique spin on the different stories. And so no tour is the same. So even if you've taken 5 guided tours, you go in with a different driver and you'll get a different tour.
Yeah.
And because it's such a small group of people in the vans, a lot of times we can, if people want to stop at another place and get out and take a picture at a different location other than the summit, there's usually room to do that.
Right. Which is great. And then if you're a little timid about driving yourself, these guys have driven up numerous times.
Last year during COVID, I was giving some guided tours because, of course, I've been there for several years now. I've kind of accumulated all this knowledge about the road. So I said, "Oh, Lisa, why don't you give some guided tours?" And I figured out, and I was only giving a couple tours a week, but over the course of the summer, I drove the road over almost like 150 times.
Wow. And you drove?
And I drove.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can come take my tour.
There you go. Well, now, we'll can drink some pumpkin spice. So
that should be my feature.
That'll be it, Everybody's got to have their own. Come on in, have some pumpkin spice. And I don't understand pumpkin spice personally. So I know what it is. I don't think I just don't get it. So you definitely do that. And that you can do for quite almost 2 months from now.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot depends on the weather.
Yes.
But that's the beauty of Mount Washington.
It is, and it's always a different story based on the weather. It could be kind of some gorgeous views, or you get out and you're getting hammered by some wind. And a lot of times our reviews, we look on TripAdvisor, people say, it was cloudy and it was windy, but it was the most memorable experience because it's like nothing that you experience down at the base of the mountain.
Yeah, I think if I went up and every time I went up it was always nice weather, I'd be like, ugh. I have a photo from a couple years ago. I went up. It was miserable at the top. It was so cold. I took a picture by the sign,
right.
And I'm holding a cup of coffee, regular coffee, and it was so brutally cold, and I had to record it, but it was so cool, It was, and I knew that I could go back into the lodge or the summit building, but it's such a great experience, and you don't get a chance to experience that. Plus, I think that was June or something. I was fine at the bottom, but nasty at the top. So
yeah, no, and it's cool. But speaking of winter, we're starting to get our Great Glen Trails winter, ski packages in stock, and
awesome
stuff is starting to come in. So we're gearing up, getting excited. We already put up registration on our ski shoe Fat Bike to the Clouds. Just started on September 1st.
Great.
We already almost have 100 people signed up.
Really?
So I think it's going to sell out. So
that's great.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, starting to think about that time of year. And of course, Great Glen Trails, is just a fun place in the winter to do cross-country skiing because you have a variety. You've got the flat, which I like, and then you have some hillier sections, which I don't like. But I know other people do.
Yes.
But you have that, and you can kind of pick and choose. It's not one of those things you're going to go out and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're somewhere you don't want to be.
Right, and you don't
happen.
have to go out. There's some huge networks around the area. We have to ski out for a huge distance to get to some of the rolling hills or some of the other kind of terrain. But Great Glen, it kind of finds you, and you can kind of pick and choose no matter where you are.
Absolutely.
So it's really fun. But they just showed, thanks, Matt. Showed a couple pictures of the kayakers. We're still doing kayak trips, and it's a great time to rent bikes. So we're just gearing up for this beautiful foliage that happens in Pinkin Notch.
And to be honest, it's probably a little less crowded than the summer. So that's going to give you a little bit more of a chance to get out there on the bike or the paddling and relax a little.
And the views are spectacular.
Crisp fall air. So
it's pumpkin spice.
Oh, we're stuck on that. Chris is going to go, we're not airing this interview again because it's the pumpkin. It'll be known as the pumpkin spice interview. So. I hope you sell pumpkin spice coffee up there at the.
We don't actually. Our cafe's been closed for the summer.
Oh,
it's
that's
kind of a
right,
bummer,
yeah.
but hopefully with the things the way that they're kind of, who knows? What's going to happen?
We'll cross our fingers with that. So
we'll cross our fingers.
But always a great experience up there at the Auto Road and Great Glen Trails, and the website.
So MountWashingtonAutoRoad.com, so mt-washington.com, or GreatGlenTrails.com.
And so you can get all the information, book your trips.
Yeah, there's a little book now button on both of the sites.
Oh, perfect.
So you can...
Matthew's about to book something.
Ooh, yeah, there we go. He's going to get a whitewater trip. Ooh.
Allow me to enter my credit card information on live TV.
So it's funny, pulled up the whitewater trips. Nate Harvey, organizes a lot of that, but we have a bunch of different guides up there. And, for people who've never tried whitewater kayaking, it's a whole nother way to enjoy a river. And we do beginner trips, just really like ripples to a little bit higher. And then if you're already an experienced whitewater kayaker, going out with Nate, I think would kind of take your experience up another level.
Plus, he's at a level that's, just so
Yes.
much fun. So much fun to be able to do that.
Yep.
So, well, that sounds great. Well, Lisa, thanks so much for coming by.
Thank
Good
you
to
so
see
much
you.
for having me
Anything
on.
else you wanted to throw out there? Was there another? She's thinking.
No, I think
we covered it.
I think we covered it all. I'm sure I forgot something. There's a couple. I should mention we're not selling all the gear like we have been in the past. Usually we kind of transition all of our bikes over from the summer season, but because we had such a challenge acquiring those bikes this year, we're not selling our entire fleet, but we are selling a couple things. So there's a couple boats and a couple bikes that will
I
be
totally
for sale.
respect that. Totally understand that. So,
Just
but
so you know.
you can definitely enjoy that up there at the Mount Washington Auto Road.
Yep. Well,
Lisa,
look forward to seeing you up there.
Absolutely. And next weekend, Muster in the Mountains.
Muster in the Mountains.
And we'll be back here in a minute on White Mountains Today.